basically, if you guys are familiar with the Remain in Mexico policy, it was very common to be discussed during the Trump administration. And what it was is if you were to cross the border illegally into the United States from Mexico, you were given an immigration hearing date and you were told, wait in Mexico until you show up for your immigration hearing. That was a way to essentially incentivize or punish folks for not showing up to their hearings if they just get into the United States in the first place. So it kind of allows people this additional freedom in a sense. So that's why we had Trump had the Remain in Mexico policy. Now, Biden essentially scrapped the policy for a while, reinstated catch and release. And what catch and release is essentially the opposite of that. Get handed your court papers and your court date, and you can just go off into the United States while you're waiting for that. Now, that's a big difference and a big shift. Now, after the state of Texas and Missouri both decided to sue, it made its way up to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court said, okay, you guys, you have to reinstate the Remain in Mexico policy. It was unconstitutional that you guys scrapped it. So now the Biden administration is reluctantly taking it back on, quote, Mexico's conditions, according to the Associated Press. So that essentially means that Mexico has now agreed to allowing people waiting for their immigration hearings in the United States to wait in Mexico for their immigration hearing. So my question to you guys is, we've been dealing with a border crisis for months. Arizona, Texas, all the border states have been dealing with this. And I just kind of want to get your thoughts on if you think this will be properly enforced, or if you guys think that this will be something that the Biden administration is going to be very loose on. It's going to essentially create a nightmare for ICE agents.
Tara, you've long thought Cameron's a horrible person. What do you think? Will this be enforced?
At this point, I don't really have any faith at all in what's going on at the border. I think it's been a disaster ever since Biden took over, and it's been bad for quite a few years, but it's just gotten really, really a lot worse under Biden. And I think that that's due to a lot of media misreporting, it not being there. They don't want to say Joe Biden's racist like they do Trump, which they would have argued the last 4 years. And so I don't even know that it's actually going to be able to get enforced, because when we look at the border, we see reports all the time of how bad border agents are doing, just like mentally and physically, and having to maintain it. And so I'd like to believe that there's going to be a switch there, but they've been completely overwhelmed. I mean, we've seen drone footage of like thousands of people coming in. And so it's like, okay, great that you switched the policy, but it's like 10 months too late at this point, because now we have all of these people crossing and we have no way to trace where those people are. So I don't think it'll be enforced that well, if at all. And I think it's too little too late.
Yeah, I'm pretty skeptical too. The Border Patrol, I think, certainly wants to enforce the law. Mm-hmm. And as an aside, how insane is it that we had to go to the Supreme Court to get a ruling that allowing people non-citizens into the United States to disappear into the United States illegally, that we had to go to the Supreme Court and get a ruling from them that was not okay. Yeah. I mean, how crazy is it that that's the world we live in? But I think Border Patrol, U.S. Border Patrol and Customs ICE, they would love to do this. Whether or not the Biden administration will give them the resources to, I think, is really questionable. You know, they saddled a whole lot of them with a ton of paperwork. They chained them to desks. But at the end of the day, I mean, it depends on how Biden wants to play it. The White House could actually just kind of take this as a loss, move on from it, and then let Border Patrol do its job, actually shut the border down, stop the inflow of immigrants, and then boom, all of a sudden, Kamala Harris, the border czar, she's been successful. I mean, she didn't do anything, but she ends up in a situation where the thing she was tasked with is fixed. And then the administration doesn't have to deal with the constant media. There's even media on the left, even establishment media, was talking about what was happening at the border. So they could actually take the minor hit now and hope that they can turn it into a victory as they move forward into 2022. If I were they, that's what I would do.